Hello, Scorpio. If you've been feeling a quiet unease in the air, something you can't quite name but can't ignore either, this message is for you. You know better than anyone how to sit with silence, how to read between the lines of what's left unsaid. And lately, that silence has started to feel heavy. Hasn't it, like something is growing beneath the surface tension? Resentment, disappointment. A shift is coming. Scorpio, not just in your home, but in your role within it. A family conflict is brewing, not the kind that erupts out of nowhere, but the kind that's been waiting patiently and fed by years of being overlooked, misunderstood, or expected to endure without complaint. And as always, you are the emotional core holding everyone else together. Even when no one notices you're fraying at the edges. This isn't just about one disagreement. It's about all the little wounds that were never acknowledged. All the sacrifices you made that were never named. All the moments you swallowed your truth just to keep the peace. You've been doing that for so long. Scorpio. It almost became second nature. But not anymore. There's a part of you now that is growing tired, not angry. Not bitter. Just tired. Tired of being the one who absorbs the unspoken pain of others while yours sits untouched. Tired of watching people you love drift further into versions of themselves you don't recognize, while pretending it doesn't hurt. And in the days ahead, something small, maybe a casual comment, maybe a decision made without you will crack the surface. And all that suppressed emotion will begin to rise, not to destroy, but to reveal, not to punish, but to be heard. Scorpio. This conflict is not the end of something, it's the beginning of a necessary reckoning. You will have to face people who believe they know you, and show them the parts they never bothered to see. You will have to choose between being agreeable and being honest. Between keeping things calm and telling your truth, and it won't be easy. Some may push back. Some may try to shame you back into silence. But the truth is, you've outgrown the silence. You've outgrown the role they assigned to you. And if this disagreement is the price you must pay to return to yourself, then maybe, just maybe, it's time. You are not here to carry everyone else's weight without being held in return. You are not here to be understood only when it's convenient. And most of all, Scorpio, you are not here to be loyal to others at the cost of betraying yourself. This moment will ask a lot from you, but it will also give you something back: your voice, your boundaries, and the chance to be seen not just as strong, but as real. Let it come. Let it speak. Let it clear what was never sustainable in the first place. You're not falling apart. You're falling into truth. You've played the role so well. Scorpio, the one who never falters, who always shows up, who holds the weight of the family's emotions without asking for anything in return. And maybe you never said it out loud, but there were nights when you wondered if anyone would even notice. If you stopped, not because you wanted pity or praise, but because the silence around your efforts started to feel louder than any words. You've been treated like a constant, a fixed presence, like the foundation others stand on but never bother to look down at. And while they lean on you, expect from you, turn to you in crisis, and disappear in calm, they fail to see the quiet erosion that's been happening inside you. You're not made of stone. You've just learned how to harden your softness because somewhere along the way, vulnerability was met with judgment. Or worse, dismissal. There's a particular kind of heartbreak that comes from being essential and invisible at the same time. You know what it feels like to be needed but not nurtured. To be respected for your strength, but ignored in your sadness. You've sat at the family table and felt like a stranger in a room full of people who claim to know you. You've shared space with those who assume they understand your silence, never realizing that silence was a defense, not a sign of peace. Every time you kept your thoughts to yourself to avoid conflict, Every time you nodded in agreement, just to keep the room from breaking. Every time you excused their forgetfulness, minimized your hurt, smiled through the ache, it added another layer to the armor you didn't ask to wear. And yet, beneath it all, there's still that part of you that wants to be seen for who you truly are, not the strong one, not the reliable one, not the fixer, but the person who sometimes feels small, tired, and unseen. The one who craves softness, who longs to be checked on without asking, who wants to be loved without having to prove worthiness. This is the wound that's rising to the surface now, not out of bitterness, but out of the soul's need to breathe again, not to punish those around you, but to stop punishing yourself with silence. You've been waiting for someone to notice, to ask, to care. But maybe this is the moment you stop waiting and start telling the truth. Even if your voice shakes, even if it changes everything, you were never a stone. Scorpio, they thought you were because you held everything without cracking. Because you never raised your voice when it mattered most. Because you seemed composed even when something inside you was begging to be understood. But you were never cold, never unfeeling, never immovable. What they mistook for stone was pressure, centuries of emotional sediment pressed into silence, duty, and restraint. And now, deep beneath that calm exterior, the heat has been building one slash. Quietly, relentlessly, the lava of every unspoken frustration, every dismissed feeling, every time you were told to let it go when you needed someone to say, I see you. Stay here. Speak. You're not breaking down, you're reaching capacity. And when that eruption comes, it won't be about the comment they made last week or the fact that someone forgot to include you in a decision. It will be about everything. It will be about the holidays where you smiled through the ache, the birthdays they missed, the way your care was expected but never reciprocated, the way they called you strong as an excuse to never ask if you were okay. It will be about being treated like the emotional dumping ground while no one bothered to clean up after their mess in you. It will be about how many times you had to shrink your needs because others decided theirs were more urgent. Scorpio, this isn't about now. It's about then, about the childhood moments that taught you love had to be earned. About the early years when your brilliance was met with jealousy or indifference. About the long stretch of time where you convinced yourself that your silence was noble, that your endurance was proof of love. But love without balance is erosion. And this version of love, the one where you carry it all just to be tolerated, not celebrated, has worn down your spirit in places even you didn't realize were tender. This moment, the one where you're finally too full to contain it, didn't begin today. It's the culmination of a lifetime of playing the role they needed from you, while never being asked who you really are when no one's watching. And now the real you is rising, not to destroy what was, but to release what can no longer be held. You were never meant to be silent forever. You were meant to speak fire, to bring truth to the surface, to clear space for healing, not only for them, but for yourself, because you can't keep being their foundation if it means burying your soul in the process. If you were born between the 23rd of October and the 1st of November, the pressure building in you comes from years of achievements quietly placed on the table, only to be met with silence, skepticism, or polite nods that never quite reach the heart. You never needed a spotlight, Scorpios, rarely do, but you needed to feel that your efforts mattered, that the things you built, endured, sacrificed for, were seen not with applause, but with presence. And yet, what you've received is distance, disconnection, the kind of coldness that doesn't scream, but freezes you slowly. And now, it's not just about the latest moment they forgot to ask about your work or downplayed your success. It's about every time you carried your victories alone, whispering your own name in the dark because no one else remembered to say it. For those born between the 2nd of November and the 12th of November, the wound is quieter, but no less deep. It's about the dismissal of your voice, not just what you say, but what you feel. You've always known what's underneath the surface. You see the undercurrents in every room, feel the subtle shifts in people's energy, speak truths that others aren't ready to name. But instead of being valued for that depth, you're often labeled as intense, difficult, too much. Over time, it's taught you to bite your tongue, hold back, observe, instead of speak. But that silence has started to turn inward. Hasn't it? It's not just that they don't listen. It's that you've begun to wonder if your truth even has a place at the table. And when you start questioning your own voice, that's when the real fracture begins. And if your birthday falls between the 13th of November and the 21st of November, what's unraveling now is the quiet, slow-burning pain of being used without being chosen. You've been generous, Scorpio, in the ways no one sees. Emotional labor, silent loyalty, showing up even when no one asked you to, simply because your heart couldn't turn away. And yet, what have you received in return? Inconsistency. People who take your depth but can't match it. People who lean on your strength but vanish when you're the one in need. You're starting to see how often you've been the safe space for others, while no one offered you one in return. And the anger rising now isn't loud, it's surgical, precise. It's the knowing that you have allowed too much for too long, and that something sacred inside you is ready to say, never again. No matter your date of birth. This chapter is not about proving your worth, it's about remembering it. This is the moment when your boundaries become non-negotiable. When your silence stops being a shield and becomes a mirror. When the parts of you that were ignored begin to speak, not with noise, but with finality. Scorpio, this is not your unraveling. This is your return. And then it happens, not like a lightning strike, but more like a slow, steady crack in the foundation that can no longer hold. You don't plan it. You don't rehearse it. It rises out of you in a moment that feels both terrifying and inevitable. The words begin to form. And you know this is it. This is the moment when years of swallowed emotion finally find their voice. You speak. Not in rage, but in truth. And that truth is heavy. It's not just about what happened yesterday or last week. It's about a lifetime of invisibility, of having to pretend you were fine while crumbling quietly inside. You speak of the loneliness that no one ever noticed, the way you've become the one people come to, but never the one they stay for. You speak of the exhaustion, the soul-level weariness of always being the strong one, the capable one, the emotionally self-sufficient one. And as you speak, it's like a pressure valve releases. The ache that sat in your chest for years tight, hot, unnameable finally spills forward into air and sound. You say what no one wanted to hear. And maybe what even you were afraid to admit, that you felt unloved in spaces that should have been safe, that you felt unseen in rooms where your light should have been celebrated, that you've been loyal to people who only saw your usefulness, not your heart. This moment isn't pretty. It's not clean or calm. It's raw, but it's also honest. And that honesty is sacred. Scorpio, this eruption isn't your breaking point. It's your becoming point. This is not the end of your relationships. It's the beginning of a new relationship with yourself. The version of you that is emerging now does not apologize for needing rest, for needing softness, for needing to be loved in return. The version of you that is surfacing no longer shrinks to make others comfortable, no longer bites your tongue to preserve someone else's illusion of harmony, no longer says it's okay when your soul is screaming that it's not. What is being born in you now is a self that understands boundaries are not walls, they are doors, doors that protect what is sacred, doors that determine who is allowed in, not based on guilt or obligation, but on reciprocity. And maybe some people won't walk through that door again. Maybe they'll call you distant, or difficult, or selfish. Let them. What they're really saying is, you stopped making yourself small for me. And that's not your burden to carry anymore. Real love, true love, even inside a family, is not built on sacrifice that silences the soul. It is built on courage. The courage to be fully seen, fully known, fully respected, even when it's messy, even when it's inconvenient, even when it means walking away from dynamics that no longer honor your heart. You're not burning bridges. You're setting fire to the cages you were never meant to live in. So let the moment come. Let the discomfort rise. Let the silence break. And as the dust settles, as the truth echoes through the spaces where you once whispered your pain alone, you'll begin to feel it freedom. Not the kind that comes with approval or agreement, but the kind that comes with finally choosing yourself. The kind that says, I don't have to be everything for everyone to be worthy of love. I just have to be me. And that is enough. So if you're still holding your breath, Scorpio, let it go. This isn't the kind of transformation that asks for permission. It's the kind that claims space, the kind that rebuilds you from the inside out. Not with force, but with truth. You've spent years being the strong one, the quiet one, the one who stayed. But now it's your turn to rise, not as a reaction, but as a choice to honor your voice, a choice to stop hiding your depth, a choice to live as someone who no longer waits to be chosen because you've already chosen yourself. And maybe the people around you won't understand. Maybe they'll say you've changed, and the truth is, you have. You've outgrown the version of you that tolerated less, and no matter how uncomfortable that might be for others, it's the most loving thing you could ever do for yourself. So as this chapter closes, and the next one begins, remember this: your honesty is not a threat. Your needs are not too much. And your truth is not something to apologize for. This isn't the end. It's your return to wholeness. And from this moment on, you don't just survive. You live.